This isn't gonna work well.
It's fun.
If you're thinking about getting into model railroading or you're already an addict, boy, do we have a project for you. In this episode, we're gonna finish these shelves, we're gonna install these decks, we're going to reintegrate a logging camp, we're gonna scrape our head till it's bloody, we're gonna get completely frustrated and humiliate ourselves in front of the entire model railroad community. Boy, all of that's coming up, starting right now. Hey, welcome to It's My Railroad, the how-to show for regular people. On this show, we celebrate regular people building their model railroads. We're not expert people doing expert things, just regular schmoes building model railroads. It's just the way it is. We have a lot of fun on this channel. We're building a great community around the It's My Railroad YouTube channel. So if you're into that sort of thing, why not just subscribe? And then don't forget to push the little bell icon so you can catch future videos. Hey, so one of the things that I've learned about building this layout is something of this size does not go quickly. It's taken me a long time to build the walls and get the shelving in up above and get these two decks installed and all the stuff I've done here that I'm going to show you in just a minute. But, you know, I came from a layout experience where it was only 11 feet by 8 feet and 12 inches deep. And I built that framework, the original BSR, built it and mounted it and had plywood on it in 1 8-hour day. I've been out here a few days and I've got the framework done, and you know what, quite frankly, it's pretty solid. I'm pretty proud of it. There's no legs. What? Just cantilevered. It's exciting. But I anticipate if this is how this has gone, it's gonna take a long time to build this layout. So I hope you brought your popcorn because you're gonna need it. But anyway, without further ado, I think I'd like to take you in and show you what I got done between the last time we were together and this time. But you got to make sure and stick around to the end, because as groovy as things go, it's still the regular guy way. And at the kind of towards the end, it's not the best experience I've ever had as a model railroader, although we seem to overcome it. So anyway, I don't want to spoil the ending for you. I would rather you just watch it and see it for yourself, starting right now. In the same way that we set these shelf brackets on the wall, I'm going to do the same process, basically to lag them up into this cross member we did here. Just pretty much get back there and drill me a hole. Like that, get a lag, put it in. That's not going anywhere. In case I didn't point it out earlier, I am using two different kinds of lags to get this done. The first case, I'm using a 1/4 inch by 2 inch lag bolt. I put a little washer on it and I drive that one into the wall so I get deep into the stud, really holds on strong. And then to do the brackets where I screw up into the support, I'm just using 1.5 inches because 2 inches is kind of overkill. Whatever, that's just what I'm doing. I've had some experience with that and it seems to go pretty well. So if you're thinking about this technique, those might be two options to consider. Well, this piece went in and it's still a little wobbly, but once we screw it to the wall here and get this piece in, it's gonna firm right up just like the rest of it did. I'm pretty confident with that. Plus, it's not supporting any weight. It's just LED lighting around the horn here. So I'm gonna go through and make this next shelf, make the other shelves, and I'm not gonna show you every last second of that because it'll get boring. But for me, it's really exciting because I'm building my hobby room. And once I get all those shelves framed up there, then we'll cut some plywood, screw that down, and then we'll be ready to start laying real bench work. Stay tuned for that. Goes up just like that. That edge flush. And then we drive a screw to hold it in place because it's kind of cantilevered. Until I get the lags in, it just wants to fall off. But anyway, boom, that one's up. Let's just keep going. So hey, good morning rail fans. It is January 11th and quite frankly, I haven't been able to get anything done in the hobby room in a week. What's that about? I don't know, I'm jonesing. So today we're gonna try to get a whole lot done out here in the hobby room as time permits. But what I like to concentrate on is putting in the top deck and the bottom deck for this whole half of the layout. And there's two reasons I want to do that. One of them is I still got a bunch of crap in the way over here. It's everywhere. And so I need to build half of it, move the stuff, and then build the other half of it. And I think we'll be in pretty good shape. There's another reason why I want to get started on it, and it involves reintroducing you to an old friend of ours who's right down here. And here it is. Some of you who have been with us for a while are going to recognize this as our refurbished logging camp module that we actually built out in season 1 of It's My Railroad. Well, I think I've figured out a way to integrate it into what I'm going to be doing here in the hobby room. And there's a couple reasons I want to do that. One is I really like my logging camp. We spent a whole bunch of time on it and it came out totally cool. And I still have all the structures and everything. So I need to figure out how to get it in there. And so that's what we're going to do. But it's got a different kind of framework setup than the rest of the Benchwork. So I kind of need to get the Benchwork up over to it on both sides and then see how this is going to lay in there. But kind of the way I've got it sitting here on the ground right now is what I think we're going to do. Back here behind it, the main line will be coming through on its way up to the top deck. It'll be sitting about this high. We'll have to make some kind of a cool bridge or something to get over the gorge back here and then continue on up. That's pretty cool. Behind me sits the module for switch junction, and sadly that module's just not gonna work. It doesn't fit over there. So my intention is to make a new switch junction off on this side of the layout and get the logging camp back up into business. So let's just start with me pulling this out of the way and putting my shelf brackets up, building some frames, and we'll start seeing how this thing sets in there. Okay, I got the shelf brackets up for the top deck and bottom deck. I did the same thing that you've seen me do on the rest of this, so I just zipped through and did it about to the halfway point over here. There's more to go down that wall, but again, too much crap in the way. So did that, and then I went ahead and I set the logging camp module back up in here. I got a 2x4 back here acting as a leg to keep it from falling over and suffering any real damage. Actually, it came out pretty good for all the moving it's had to do to get over here, but I'm pretty excited to see it up in place. What we need to do is build a framework here that this can mount to, and the gap behind it's going to be 12 inches on this side and this side. That's because this used to be 12 inches deep, and I'm going to bring it right out to the front of the layout so my main line can run behind it. We'll see later on how that all ties together. But anyhow, I think I'll just go ahead and cut out the frame for this side and make the pieces for the back and then make the frame for that. Then I'll put everything back together here. We'll take a look at it, start screwing it together. Just so you guys can sort of stay in touch with every little thing we're doing here, I determined that it's going to be a 58-inch piece from the wall over to the logging camp. I'm going to cut 2 of those. We need 2 of these that are 2 feet, less than 1.5 inches, which with new math is 22.5 inches. And we need 2 2x3s that are the same length. All right, so those are all the pieces that we need to put together the framework that we're gonna mount. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these sawhorses out of the way and put this frame together. It's gonna go together just like the shelving did, with one exception. When I join the 2x3s to the 1x3s, I'm actually gonna do it with screws and not those little finishing nails. Those were fine for up there. Plywood will probably hold it together. Actually is holding it together very nicely, but down here, there's gonna be plywood in some places and not in other places. And when we get to it, I'll show you. We're gonna kind of do a hybrid of fixed benchwork, I guess you would call it, and open benchwork, which means there'll only be plywood where the track goes. So let me get this put together real quick and then we'll stick it up here and mount this sucker to it. To start with, I made a mark here and here by putting the piece of wood up on the wall, setting it on the brackets, and then marking where the brackets are. These brackets aren't exactly at predetermined distances just because of the way the thing went together. But these 2x3s are actually what's gonna be cantilevering this benchwork. So I kind of want to get them right on so I can lag into them. But we're gonna put together with drywall screws, like I said. I've got my drill out to do a couple of pilot holes before we get started. Just like that. And then drive home the screws. You know what, I just decided I'm also gonna drywall screw in the side pieces. It may be a little overkill, but since we're doing it anyway, what the heck. So I screwed this thing up to the shelf brackets, and there's something I want to show you real quick. This wall is perfectly level this way, all right? And that shelf bracket's supposed to be a 90-degree angle. I put my level on there, and it's not. It's not quite 90 degrees. So what I've had to do with all of these things is go through and bend them up to get a 90-degree angle out of it. So that's just kind of what I'm going to do right now. Okay, well that looks better. I'm gonna go ahead and lag this thing down so we can get working on this piece over here. Okay, so with that 1 foot piece in the back, it's time to get this thing ready to screw to all this stuff. Now, here's the thing. If you guys remember, when I was moving, I just took and I just wholesale just cut right through this thing with a Sawzall, leaving enough space where I could work on it in the future. Well, it's the future. So I've got a line right here that's maybe a little hard for you to see right now, but it lines up with the edge of this piece of framing I have under here. We're gonna cut this all the way back to this piece, and then we can pull the whole thing forward and secure it to this piece right here. I'm gonna take a Sawzall again to the layout, cut it right through there, and then pull it over and line up this plywood piece with where it's supposed to go here on the layout to extend it out further. So I'll grab the Sawzall and get that done. Now, I promised this module that I wouldn't ever use a Sawzall on it again. So hopefully I'm not lying to my own model railroad, because wouldn't that be a tragedy? I'm gonna grab the Sawzall, boom, away we go. Well, I think that got it. I'm right down to that piece that we're gonna screw right to this piece. So I'm not really certain how I'm gonna do that. I'm just gonna sort of get on it and see what happens. So it's January 13th now, and today I'm gonna try to finish putting in this upper deck here. And here's the thing, I only got so far yesterday because of these brackets right here. Mounting the brackets wasn't a problem. Keeping my head from them, see this? I don't know. Keeping my head from them was a problem. I kept bending over and coming up and tearing scalp off to the point it was like a horror movie in here. And frankly, I decided to take the rest of the night off, sort of chill out a little bit. So again, it's gonna be another day where maybe not a whole lot to see as I go ahead and get this put together, but I'll take you on that journey with me. And as soon as we do, we can get all this junk over here, build those two decks, and then we can get down to the stuff behind the wall. So I'm gonna get right on that right now. Well, just to continue to be legitimately a regular guy, not certain what happened right there. It looked like I screwed up a measurement some kind of way. It's not even, it's just an oddball deal. So I'm gonna have to go through and pull this off, slam it up there, and then lag it back in. But I don't think that'll slow us up too much. But at least I know, looking at the level above it, I've got it level going across there. So we'll just take care of it from there. Well, here you go. beginning of the top deck is installed, just a little over the first 8 feet of it. And the thing is, what you see here is not what I first put in here. This was sitting up 4 inches taller. And as I got in there with it and I started reaching in like I was going to be playing with the railroad, it just seemed pretty tall. And I wasn't thrilled with it. Now, I did a lot of research. I talked to a lot of people. And I set this thing at 5 feet because I thought it'd be a good height, but it really isn't. And so I just said, screw it. I'm going to lower this thing. I lowered it 4 inches. For me, much more comfortable doing it here. That may mean, though, that we've got just some less operations and more mainline run on the bottom deck because they're pretty close together. I don't know. We're going to have to see how it develops. But just to test it, I brought Cindy Brown, the first lady of model railroading, in here. She stood here. We looked at it together. She stood on her tippy toes, and I measured that gap was about 4 inches. So it is what it is. I had all that video shot and everything, but my microphone wasn't on. I was a little stressed out about having to lower this deck. So Bob's your uncle. That's what you guys get from the regular guy model railroader. So anyway, I lowered this one 4 inches. This is where it's going to be. I'll compensate by bringing this valance down further from the top shelf, because now this is like 30 inches. I mean, woo, massive model railroad in there. I'm going to go through and build the deck on the other side. I got to lower those brackets that I already installed to do that, but I'm going to get that done so I can move this junk over here so we can put in the 2 long decks. Maybe someday actually put some track down on this sucker. Wouldn't that be nice? Let's get on it. And now here's where we're at come the end of the day. We've got the toolbox in here. We've got just miscellaneous crap all over there. It looks like a hobby room now, doesn't it? If you just look way back in there, you're going to see a little bit of the logging camp hanging out, but got the second deck up all the way around. It's pretty solid. And what I really love and excited about is this 20-foot length right along here that we are going to be able to put a massive model railroad on. Well, as I like to say, if I didn't bleed today, I didn't get out of bed today. And as you guys can see, whoo, this hobby room had its way with me. I'm already bleeding again, but it feels good to be bleeding again in the hobby room. I don't even know what that means, but there you go. So we've got both decks up, and you know, I think we're just about ready to start getting some plywood on the tops, laying out the track, and start getting moving in that regard. But what I think I might do is switch gears for a minute, and right around the corner here, I'll show you, we're going to run some electrical that's going to be able to turn on the layout and some other things, and sort of get that done now so we can not get distracted by it later. But that'll be for next week. As far as this week goes, thank you so much for tuning in and watching It's My Railroad. I know you got a million other shows you can watch, and yet you chose to be here. So I really appreciate it. And again, my name is Steve Brown. Until next time, rail on, my friends.